Hey guys, welcome in. We're just going to give it a few moments and we'll get back live with you guys. We're going to wait about 2 or 3 minutes and we will get started. See you in a bit. All right, guys, welcome in. Good afternoon and welcome to our February Advanced Insights webinar, a deep dive into our N-8000 series. My name is Eric Huber, product specialist at TOA. And today we'll be giving you an in-depth look at our N-8000 series, examples of installations and technical specifications. We'll talk to two of our product experts from TOA, and you'll leave today with a stronger understanding of what it's like to install our IP series intercom systems. And of course, for those of you guys that are new to TOA Electronics, we are a supplier of quality, durable, and dependable professional AV equipment, and we deliver exceptional sound with solutions in a variety of different industries. We prepared a brand video for you guys that highlights our heritage and the industries we serve. Let's take a look to kick things off. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and let's dig in. Here we go. So an IP intercom, what is it? You know, we offer several core advantages over our analog systems. An IP intercom system essentially uses your existing IP network or networks rather than focusing on an analog system that requires heavy cabling and installation. So ease of use is and connectivity and flexibility are those key aspects. There are numerous benefits to discuss, and we can discuss those further. And I have with me two product experts in commercial AV with us, TOA experts, that have a combined experience in commercial AV for over 30 years. That's right, 30 years. We have, of course, we have Jim McGunniess and we have Dan Shore. Dan Shore with direct experience in building systems, as well as Jim that utilize IP intercom systems in multiple types of industries. And Jim, of course, Jim's expertise is identifying AV solutions to ensure maximum efficiency across multiple industries. Jim has experience in product support as well as systems designs. So we ask that you hold your questions for the end. We're going to do a live Q&A after today's webinar. Please hold those, and we will be back to answer anything you guys have at the very end of this. All right, so here we go. Let's get started. We are going to address the four main benefits of IP versus an analog system. Okay. Those are ease of installation, like I said, scale, flexibility, adaptability, and quality. All right, so that's a lot to cover. And we'll be identifying all the ways that our N-8000 system goes above and beyond those four key aspects. So let's start with installation, the ease of the installation, as opposed to analog systems that require their own cabling. But IP systems typically use infrastructure that is already installed or that you may possess. That means less cabling, less cost, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. Jim, you've been working in this industry for quite some time. Can you walk us through a system you've designed with a component of our N-8000 series and the installation process?
Well, sure. Thanks, Eric. I mean, we've been doing intercom systems now for many years, and ease of installation certainly is one of our core functions when we're putting stuff together. Quality and scalability and different features that you can do with various systems. So typically, one of the advantages of our system is it's IP based. So all of the core pieces in N-8000 are IP. You can set that to its own switch. You can put it on its own switch, or it can also be sitting on your customer's network. So either way works fine, and it makes it very easy then to do an install with an existing IP structure that's there. And then, as far as what the system can do will be determined by which pieces that we install into a system. So if you need things like, switches for doors, if you need the system to roll over, like if somebody calls, Sally at extension 1 and she's not there, it can roll to another extension type of thing. If we want to do bell schedules for schools, which is very typical, we can do that. And of course, there's timekeeping. We can have emergency dial out to outside lines. So there's many features and functions that we can do with our systems. And the fact that it's IP based, it makes cabling a lot easier because we can now take some pieces and we can remote locate them, say in a remote IDF closet in various places around the building. This way, eliminating a lot of extra cable runs back to a head-end office.
Awesome, Jim. Awesome, Jim. Jim, as always, great explanation. Thank you for the information. Jim, we know scale is very important, and it's an important process for expansion. Obviously, in today's day and world, it's a key aspect. An IP intercom system can handle a range of calls, 1-point call, 300-point calls, 500-point calls. It can be massive, and it can be scaled up to that and much more than an analog type system. The lesser cabling requirements also mean a wide-ranging intercom system that's easy to implement. Dan, let's go over to you. Dan, can you talk us through a project where scale actually was the determining factor, and also which N-8000 series products fit best for that project?
So, Eric, I'd love to talk you through a project. We had a recent project where it was actually a school district in South Dakota where we had 7 schools that needed to be linked up. The school district wanted to be able to control all of the bell schedules from one point and be able to page any or all schools from the district office. Then within each school, they would have paging zones and two-way communications between the classrooms and the front office. So to do that, we used our N-8000 RS 3-wire system, which is typically used for school applications. It's very easy to include a call switch and a local speaker. Each output on the N-8000 RS has 1 watt at 25 volts. So we link those together, 16 classrooms per N-8000 RS, up to however many classrooms you have in that building. We put a master station, an N-8600 RS, in each area. Then back at the district, we put an N-8000 AF with an attachment to an NTP time server to make sure all of the clocks and all the master stations stayed synchronized. And the bell schedules are generated through that N-8000 AF. In addition, we put another master station on, programmed it to address each school as a paging zone or all call. Very simple to implement. The school had an existing wide area network. The N-8000 is built to work over wide area or local area networks, so it went off without a hitch. Scale comes into this because the project was phased. So originally we had one school and the district. As they add schools, we're able to add additional intercom components on their wide area network, and we were able to scale it up to what the size that they needed for their school district.
Dan, well said. Dan the man, you got it, right? Adaptability is another distinct advantage of IP-based intercom systems. If a visitor is seeking someone in particular, the call can be rerouted to that person very, very simply. If that person isn't available, you can continue to reroute. So it could chain down the line. We call that call forwarding or call chaining. And this could all be automated. So if someone doesn't pick up in a certain amount of time, it will automatically switch over, which is super simple. You can program the hierarchy of switches down the line so that you can be sure when someone's out of the office or like on vacation, for example, or during these times, flex offices and things like that, you want to make sure that somebody else is there to pick up, and it can be rerouted to somebody else. All right, Jim, back to you. Let's talk about the systems that you designed, that you've integrated with our N-8000 series, and the components that adapted to exactly what your client was looking for.
Well, in some of these cases, as we touched on just previously, we call into a particular master station, somebody's not there. We can do things like roll that to another station, or we can actually ring a group of stations. So let's say, it could be a security desk. The security desk goes unmonitored for a second. A guy steps out. We can, roll it. We can tag a number of different master stations. In other words, main phone extensions, so that the call isn't missed. Other things that we've done in the past is if somebody's not available on a particular extension, we can roll that to somebody's cell phone. So if we incorporate a central office option that we have for N-8000, now it can dial out to a particular number so somebody remotely could pick up. So it's pretty flexible from that standpoint. And in some cases, depending on what we do and what system that we put together, certain stations will report to certain master stations. Some will report to a global group of master stations. So there's flexibility within the system, depending on the requirements of the design. We put together different systems. Our IP-based system is broken down into 4 groups of cabling requirements. And then additionally, we have what we call a SIP gateway. So if you run that software on a dedicated PC, now you can integrate a SIP system that may already be in place, which is very often the case these days. And so now their phone system can call into the intercom system, and the intercom system can also call to that phone system. So that's one advantage that we have, that we can integrate into existing phone systems. So many of them are becoming SIP-based these days. So that's a powerful tool. And then, of course, depending on which system design that we have, if we have all IP systems, each door station can be assigned to a very specific master station. So it doesn't go to necessarily a group. It could page a group. It could do a number of different things. When we talk about school systems, usually we're connecting to the front office to a main extension somewhere. But again, that can roll as well. So really, it depends on how the customer wants to put their system together. They may want an all IP system. In a sense, our systems are all IP. It's just that endpoints can vary, right? So we have equipment that's literally IP down to the endpoint. We have other pieces that are IP down to essentially the switch that switches the signal to a speaker, but generally considered IP throughout the system. So there's a lot of variation there, and it just depends on client requirements. And again, bell schedules, switches, background music, whatever they need will determine how we design the system.
Jim, well said. There is a clear quality improvement with IP intercoms. Based on the insight from both Dan and Jim, we can wrap this up and we can see how flexible and how scalable this really is. There won't be frustration or static or disruption on any line. And when linked through video, you won't have problems of low frame rates and cutouts, when you get those pixelated images and things like that. Dan, why don't you talk to us about the technical specifications around quality when using the N-8000 series systems?
Well, Eric, the most important thing about the technology involved with the N-8000 is TOA's proprietary packet audio transmission process. It encapsulates the audio bits into the IP packet, which allows it to transmit over LANs and WANs with exceptional reliability and clarity.
To bring this home, the benefits of our N-8000 series IP intercom systems include ease of installation, scale, adaptability, and of course, quality coming from the TOA brand. At this time, we'd like to open up the floor with any questions from our attendees. Guys, I'm just going to pause this for just a moment, and we'll be right back to answer any of those questions in just a bit. Fire at us. Let's go. We got Dan and Jim ready on standby to answer anything you guys got. We'll see you soon. Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening to that. We'll give you guys a couple moments here, and we'll get to some live Q&A. I think I see some questions coming in already. Let me de-share my screen here. Okay. Jim and Dan, you there? You guys live? Good to go?
Hello.
You are good. Okay, guys. Let's get to the questions. Once again, Jim, Dan, thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. Looks like we got a lot of attendees here. Shout out to Ibrahim, Barbara, Carl, Don, Edwin, Festus, Francisco, Frank, Jeff. The list goes on. Rob, we see you. All right, question one, going out to Dan. Dan, this one's for you. How are you able to link the networks in the different schools you worked on? And did you just link the switches in the schools together, or was there anything additional that needed to be done?
When you have a WAN, a wide area network, you will set up the IP address of the far side LAN in the software and address it that way. They don't all have to be on the same LAN.
Got it. Cool. Question two, Dan, back to you. Can you explain, and maybe Jim can top this off as well. Can you explain more about the packet proprietary audio technology that TOA offers?
I could, but I'd have to kill you.
Okay.
No.
In a very
So this technology was developed quite some time ago to reliably get packets over a wide area network. Packets typically through a lot of the transmission protocols that are out there would not go through a router. They switch through a LAN. So TOA was able to come up with a way to make sure those packets translate across routers into different networks. The original application on this, I believe, was for our NX100s. Jim, you can chime in, but I think that's the original application of this. And in the United States, the first time we saw that was on the Alaska pipeline, where we were transmitting both audio and RS-232 over Ethernet up and down the pipeline for control and communication.
Right. So our NX100 product, which has now evolved to the NX300 product, but the 100 we have two different versions, and the original version allowed for RS-232 bridging. So this way, the limitations on 232 is really very short. It's kind of like unbalanced audio. You really only go 15 feet or so. Of course, if it was a 422 network, then it would be 500 feet. But that limits you. So they developed the network protocol. Now you can put,
Dan, easy on the keys there. It looks like you're cutting Jim out. Vocal.
Sorry about that.
Jim, did you want to just close that up real quick? We lost you for like the last 20 seconds.
What I was saying is basically that we would be able to then send a 232 protocol over very long distances reliably to the other end. So if you needed to control devices that way,
okay.
Along with the capability of contact closures.
Cool. All right, we have another question here. Thank you guys for the questions. Keep them coming. We're gonna answer them as best as we possibly can. Nermine, tell me more about the difference between. Looks like another brand is mentioned here. TOA Intercom and Apther. Dan or Jim, you familiar with that? It looks like a manufacturer.
I think that they're trying to say other.
Oh, other brands. All good.
Sure. There are a number of different solutions on the market. Most of the intercoms that we see out there, legacy intercoms, are card-based with some interesting cabling requirements. Everything has to come back to a head end. There's no way to do distributed architecture on those, or very limited ways to do distributed architecture on those. Examples would be like Bogan Multicom or some of the other players that you're obviously aware of. I hope you're aware of. There are all IP solutions out there on the market right now, but we find that all IP solutions tend to be extremely expensive. When you're talking about, it's basically the cost of putting a master station in every classroom. So we balance the flexibility of an IP system with the convenience and low cost of analog endpoints.
Excellent. Another quick thing before I get to the next question here. Jim and I had a little conversation earlier, but and Jim, maybe you can piggyback off this, is the rack space. I know we had a client that was swapping out an old, Dan mentioned card-based systems, how much space these systems actually take up. And a lot of our N-8000 systems are 1U rack space. It's a clean installation. Jim, you want to just pull that up real quick or talk about it?
I mean, we with N-8000, all of our primary units are 1RU rack space. So it really depends on how many extensions that you're going to be doing or what features and functions, which will determine which pieces we use in the system. But to your point, Eric, we had a gentleman up in the Chicago area redoing one of our previous systems, which was card-based, card cage type system. And it was 3 of those card cases married together to get the size of the system that they needed at that time. Well, those card cases take up, between 10 and 12 rack spaces by the time you install them, air spacing, etc.
Exactly.
That all boiled down to about 9 RU when we got done replacing it this past week. So it's a great savings in space. And plus, again, since it's IP, those pieces don't have to all reside in the same main rack. You can split that out over the network, and that way it also helps you with, as Dan was saying, marrying the analog endpoints to a lot shorter runs, so it makes it a lot easier for installation.
Cool. Francisco wrote a bunch here. It looks like Dan responded already.
Yeah, so I'd like to
talk about it.
My friend Francisco here for a second. So Francisco noted that there are limited priority levels on the N-8000 Intercom, and that's true. There are on most intercom systems. That is the case. We do have the ability to do emergency calls and put priority on call-ins. I believe three priorities, Jim. Is that correct?
Sounds right, depending on equipment. Yes.
Right, and then paging can override intercom calls, and there is an emergency page and administrative override available to the master station. So we do have some. Francisco also brought up a different system that we have available in Europe and in South America called the VX3000, which has many levels of priority, but it is not an intercom system. So we do have systems like that in the United States, from the simplest level of our BGM amplifiers to our 9000 series going into the VM3000 and SX2000. I am anxiously awaiting the arrival of the VX3000 in the United States. I think it's a terrific piece of equipment, and looking forward to using it here for life safety integration. There was also a question about how we integrate with existing security systems. We do it two different ways, through either contact closure, and there are contact closures available on several different pieces of equipment. We also have an IP protocol and an SDK. So if you have an existing security system, for example, in a correctional facility where you need to integrate with touchscreens and with cameras and typically not access control, but touchscreens, cameras, that kind of thing, we do that very easily. Anything you can do with a master station, you can do with the IP control. That IP protocol is available to you. Just give us a call and we'll talk you through what we need to get from you to give you a copy of it.
Perfect. Also, guys, we are, the 8000 system can be, I don't want to use the word intimidating, but it's, it can be very complex. We do have a certification system going on or project going on where you can get certified, trained up. Dan, do you want to just touch on that real quick?
Sure. It's a 2-day class. Certification gets you listed on our website. It also reduces the number of times your field technician sits out there and calls you or TOA support for questions. Jim runs classes, I run classes, and Rick Escobar in South San Francisco runs classes as well. So we schedule those the second Wednesday and Thursday of every month. Please feel free to contact us directly or your representative, and we'll get you hooked up with an invitation. We do request, if possible, that you have a couple of pieces of gear so that you can plug it in while we go through the instructions and get a hands-on feel for it. But second Wednesday and Thursday of every month on that. In addition, we offer certification classes in 9000 series, and we're starting up on the VM3000 life safety system. So watch our website and contact your rep for further information.
Yeah, guys, take advantage of that. It's a great program. And Dan, free of charge, right?
Yes.
Free of charge, guys. Reach out to Dan, myself, or Jim. Take a look at our socials. We just actually did a post recently. I believe there's a link in there where you guys can sign up and get on board with that. So great program. Francisco, another one came through here. One thing I really like about the N-8000 is it's nice to have it working as an audio interface or as a timer. Yep, bell scheduler. NTP, all that. It's a wonderful piece of gear and almost a must-have for any intercom project. Thank you, Francisco. Well said. Also, what else do we have here? Any other questions? Let's take a look, see if I missed any. If you guys have any more, like I said, I mean, we could talk all day on this system. There's a lot going on here. Wait, we might have one more. Hang on. I did see that, Dan, you talked about how our N-8000 system does integrates very well with existing security systems and communication systems. We have our IP horn available that we talked about last webinar or the webinar before that, which integrates very well with existing security systems or IP-based security systems. So, yes, we are going that direction. These systems talk extremely well to anything out there on the market. And that's definitely the goal here going forward. All right, guys. With that said, it looks like there's no more questions coming in, which is great. Great questions. We appreciate it. Thank you so much for always coming in and having a chat with us every webinar Wednesday at the end of the month. We really appreciate it. Thank you all who stuck around. We get a lot of familiar names here. We'd like to see you guys as much as possible. Keep in mind that we are releasing a podcast every single week on Mondays. Webinars are towards the end of the week. I highly encourage you guys to sign up for that certification, whether it be the 8,000, the 9,000. It's just free knowledge, and we want to make sure that you guys are actually, utilizing those services as well. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. We'll see you guys next month for our webinar Wednesday. We don't know what we're going to be talking about yet, but it's going to be relevant and it's going to be informative. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Jim. As always.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. And that's it. Take care. Again, guys, thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, whatever time it is. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves.